Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, or whatever time zone it is, wherever you're in the world. It is your Lore Saviour, and today we're talking about logos within the world of darkness, specifically that of Werewolf the Apocalypse and Vampire the Masquerade. And it all comes from this Reddit post, which admittedly I saw about a month ago now because some friends were discussing it, and it's only taken me this long to get around to talking about it because life's been pretty hectic at the moment, and I've honestly needed some time to collect my thoughts on this so I could focus on more important things. The aforementioned hectic shit. And yeah, I've got some thoughts on this, to be totally honest, and some of you may think that the Vampire Clan logos and all the rest of it are better than Werewolf the Apocalypse because they are more intuitive. They may well be. Think about the Malkavian logo, for example, the cracked mirror. How their perception is cracked and altered due to their riddling madness sort of thing. It's fairly straightforward, but it isn't exactly very deep now, is it? Similar with Adventure, they had the scepter, now they've got the scepter and the mace, or whatever you want to call those things. Now, not only they are the kings, but they also lay down the law. What about the La Sombra? Well, requires a bit more thought for that one. The Zemitzi, they are the dragons because they've got the whole fucking Ouroboros thing, but what does the Ouroboros mean? A lot of people may not know what that is well, so are they all truly intuitive? Yes, but also no. But when we compare that to that of Werewolf the Apocalypse, and yeah, they are a bit more involved, have a lot more nuance going for them, I have to admit, but that doesn't make them any worse. It's just the symbols for the different tribes and the changing breeds of Werewolf the Apocalypse are meant to serve a different purpose to that of the clan logos of Vampire the Masquerade. And that might puzzle some of you. Well, they're meant to identify the splat thing in question. How is that any different? Well, think about the nature of the guru in Werewolf the Apocalypse. Think about their culture, their politics, i.e. the septs and the cairns that they go and protect. Think about the influences on the game line itself, like tribe and Native American culture. Think about some of the written fiction, and I feel this is where a lot of it begins to fall apart for people, because the vast majority of people who are going to be watching this video are coming into the mindset of appreciating Vampire the Masquerade more than Werewolf the Apocalypse. And I'm not going to lie, but if this person from the Reddit post I mentioned is the werewolf mega fan that they claim to be, I don't think they would have made this post, because I think they would have realised that the creation of the tribe Glyphs is part of the fiction, is a part of the establishment of who and what they are. Because the Guru, they create these Glyphs in their Krynos form, or at least they did before 5th edition came along and ruined all of that, because apparently they can't control anything in the Krynos form, which really puts a lot of thought into question about how they created these glyphs in the process. But we pretend that 5th edition doesn't exist because I think it's a pile of wank. I did a review that explained all of this and covered a load of other features as well. But the Guru in their Krynos form creates these glyphs with their claws into mud and bark and the rest of it, so they can inform and tell each other, which sort of ties into a lot of wandering family and Roma cultures, like they leave little marks inside of buildings and wood and whatnot, just to inform people, the sort of people around them, what they're like, the hospitality and etc. and so forth. Kind of like a gang sign sort of thing, but a lot more serious, I guess. And as I said, it's part of a culture. But then again, the gang signs and the travelling families is still part of a specific culture. But I'm waffling a little bit here, you get what I mean. It's part of their identity and it's part of who they are. And the glyphs tell a story, because regardless of what 5th edition may tell you, the art of oral storytelling is imperative to Werewolf the Apocalypse. It's not just about slaughtering the woman and the survival of the fittest sort of thing. It's telling on the stories of the mistakes that your ancestors have made, what you can learn from them, and how to be better. Because if you think about any sort of fairy tale or story with a moral, it involves some sort of hero or anti-hero or something like that, where they have done something wrong, they fucked up somehow, and they have found a means to do better. Or if they died or they fucked up, the moral of the story is, don't do that, what you can learn from this is. That's what all these different glyphs mean. You can combine and twist them to tell stories, and this is how the Guru have told a story, in aid of the Homid Tun and the Krynos Guru Tun, the name of which I've actually forgotten the name of. But it's all combined with this method of storytelling and passing on stories and keeping to the tradition and the stories of Gaia and her children alive. And going on with the tribe logo specifically, as I said already, they are embedded as part of their identity and what they are. The red talons, for example, their symbol is literally just, they were attacked, like one of them was challenged by Silverfang, or one challenged the Silverfang or whatever, and left this horrible claw mark in their chest. And that's what they used to call themselves, the red talons, i.e. it made them fucking bleed. You have the bone gnawers, which is quite literally a bone that has been gnawed through. You have the Fenrir, which, yes, I know it looks like a swastika, but it's actually meant to be a claw and an axe, which represents, their strong, proud Guru nature and their Nordic heritage. And it's even touched upon in one of the books that, yeah, you can say that it looks like a swastika, but you've got to remember it was once a symbol of peace and what they're going to do to you if you call them a fucking Nazi. Which again, people tend to forget about. The Black Spiral Dancers weren't designed by them. It was discovered by the Guru as being like this weird, twisted, chaotic mess. But the Guru understood enough that part of it was a spiral that represented the worm. So they now use that to associate with the Black Spiral Dancers, which in a way just adds to their horror and the madness that they have. And there are other examples, because every single one of these has got a description in some form. In the book The Silver Accord, which is a must-have for any Werewolf the Apocalypse sign. I should probably do a review on that sometime. Do let me know in the comments if you want to hear about that. But as I said, these are just the ones on the top of my head, and all the other tribes and the changing breeds have some form of description that go with them. Actually, no, most of the changing breeds don't, but the thing is, it's not presented to you on a fucking silver platter for you to easily digest up what he means. It's like a puzzle. You kind of have to work out, what it represents. And of course, every single person is going to interpret these things differently because, we are human, and the Guru have got some element of human in them, and it's down for debate and subjective interpretation. And again, similar comments can be made with the other splats, like the different crests for Changeling, and the glyphs for Wraith, and the sphere symbols for Mage the Ascension, and the Arcanoi as well. Like, all of them have got different meanings and interpretations. Like, it doesn't have to be as straightforward as fucking vampires. They're telling a story, it serves a different purpose, it has different themes and emotions. And this ties into something that I feel I've talked about before, or at least I very much hinted at before, is that if you come into Werewolf the Apocalypse with a mindset like you're playing Vampire the Masquerade, you're not going to enjoy it. You're going to be frustrated because they're two separate entities. Yes, there's some similarities about how the World of Darkness products are set out. Like the tribes are presented in 2 pages and their optional weaknesses, which is, as I said, optional. Just it's a bit more familiar to Vampire the Masquerade players. Their starting gifts, their cultures, all the rest of it, it all looks familiar. It's all set out the same way. They've got a special logo that they represent. The formatting of their books are very similar to other World of Darkness games, so it feels it's part of the same universe in the actual layout of the book. But they're not the same game. They don't have the same core themes and emotions. They're different entities. So the logos are not going to be as straightforward as Vampire the Masquerade. Even with 5th edition, actually, with some of them that got redesigns, the artist like Philip Headley was approached this from a sort of culture that they would have and use these things to communicate with. Now, Philip Headley wasn't aware that this was actually done into consideration with the older stuff, which again, I've talked about in my review of that, and I appreciate their honesty about that when I was asking them these questions, and I brought that to their attention. But it just goes to show that even with how much I loathe 5th edition of Werewolf the Apocalypse and how it just misses the mark so much, that with the design of its logos, it was taken into consideration that it's not Vampire the Masquerade, that this is a separate entity, that there is some form of oral storytelling. Like, to use an example they did, they redesigned the Silverfang so it looks like the legendary silver crown that Albrecht wears, to designate the true Guru King of the nation, the Guru Nation, which I think is a pretty cool detail. which I'm actually surprised that the Silver Fangs doesn't capitalise more, to be honest, given the fucking arrogance of the cunts. Although, that being said, I've just reminded myself what this Silver Fang logo actually looks like, and yeah, it does actually look a bit like a crown, sort of more like the Jesus Christ thorn crown sort of thing, which has some sort of like martyrdom symbolism, which if you read up on their laws, particularly how it's presented in the Silver Fangs Revised Tribe book, it does kind of fit that theme really well. Also, the main part of it is made up of glyphs that look like Luna, Silver, the moon, claws on the other side. So again, we've got symbolism, it's telling a story here. You know, that it was given to them by Luna sort of thing, which isn't quite how the story goes, but it's close enough, honestly. I've also just been reminded of the Glasswalkers. Not that I saw anything, it's just that it came to mind. The Glasswalkers symbols actively changed with the time. It's sort of taken on this similar sort of tower structure to represent that they are the tribe of the people. But their names also changed as well. The Warders, the Iron Raiders, now the Glasswalkers, representing different points of history. And the tower has grown more runs through it to represent how civilization has grown, and they have grown and changed with it. You see, that is extraordinarily interesting, and it's not as iconic as Vampire the Masquerade because it never popped off the same way that Vampire the Masquerade did. I can guarantee you that if Wealthy Apocalypse came out first and it had the same sort of punch that Vampire the Masquerade did, interesting word creation there. And also you've got to consider that Vampire the Masquerade came right in the centre of like a goth revival in America and beyond, of course. I can guarantee you that with all of that in consideration, the Werewolf Tribe logos would have popped off the same way and become just as iconic, if not more so, but that's not what it was going for. Of course, Vampire wasn't going for that either. Also, we don't have an explanation, at least as far as I'm aware, about how the Vampire Clan logos came into existence. I imagine it came through more in the Dark Ages where Cainite societies and civilizations all started to band together sort of thing. And the Dark Ages crests represented like a family of vampire brethren sort of thing. But to my knowledge, it's not ever explained. And isn't it a bit funny that vampires that are supposed to hide from the mortal eye have these big old crest family things that say, yoo-hoo, look at me, a vampire here, weird family sort of thing. Even with the more modern stuff in the Victorian age, because they changed to that as well. There is no explanation about how any of that stuff changed. It's just there, which kind of makes it feel a bit more video gamey. So again, it's trying to serve a different purpose, and there's a bit of a weird mishmash of ideas here, which doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's just you're trying to force the idea of one into the other, and it's not working. And as I've already said, if you're coming into Wealthy Apocalypse and you have got a load of information about Vampire, or you've got a bit of an understanding about how Werewolf works because of Vampire, you know, the Shadow Lords and meets the spat, as it were, how Baba Yaga, despite being a vampire fiend, is more mentioned in Wealthy Apocalypse books than in Vampire the Masquerade, you're not really going to have a fun time of it because it's just going to seem too weird for you. And you'll run Wealthy Apocalypse games like Vampire, and that's not really what you should be doing if you want to keep the true flavour and the spirit of the game, pun not intended. Of course, we do know that Wealthy Apocalypse 5th edition was designed by people who love Vampire and hate Werewolf, and the people that they've hired for the most part don't know a lot about Wealthy Apocalypse, so it's easy to mould said writers into their vision without any clapback, just like the initial run of Wealthy Apocalypse of 5th edition was going to be. But I'll leave themes in the description below for you to go and read about all of that spicy information. And also, practically every single Wealthy Apocalypse 5th edition actual play that I've seen online, which admittedly is not a lot, or there might probably be more now since I've last had a look, they do run Werewolf-like mini versions of Vampire, which infuriates me no bounds. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what I think. If you want to run it that way and you have fun with it, go at it. But to capture the true essence of Wealthy Apocalypse, you need to come into this with the mindset of werewolves and their cultures and the tribes and all the rest of it. That it's not the same as Vampire at all. But those are just my opinions on the matter. What do you think about all this? Do you think the Vampire clans are better than the Werewolf tribes? Do you think that the Werewolf tribe logos are better than the Vampire ones? Or do you think they're both shit and something else is far better for much better reasons? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on all things World of Darkness crest logo bollocks thing. And whilst you're down there, go and purchase those books that I have mentioned and a fuck ton more. Now, if you purchase those books with those specific links, I get some of the money back because I'm an affiliate on Drive for RPG, and it allows me to provide awesome-based content for my awesome-based viewers, which also allows you to get fucking books. You get books, I get shit, and you get content for free. So, winner, winner, chicken dinner for you. Which apparently is the correct expression of that phrase, but I don't really like that all that much, so we're going to stick with win-win chicken dinner. It just runs off the tongue a bit better. Or at least my fucking dumbass tongue anyway. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. So purchase those books, or if you've got those books already and you want to purchase even more, copy and paste this special affiliate code in the description and put it in the URL of any book you'll purchase on Drive for RPG, the Storyteller's Vault, or any other of the sister sites on there, and I can still get a little slippage of the coin and you can still get your content, which is absolutely amazing shit, if I do say so myself. But if you can't do that, I can only understand that, because time to harden all of that, and PDFs and print-on-demand shit is expensive as fuck. Now, well, it was expensive before, but it's especially so now. So if you can do that, that's absolutely amazing, but if you can't, I'm not going to be mad about it either. But what you should definitely do regardless is give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the Lore by Night channel, and share this video with any and everyone who loves what I do, and I'll see you on the next upload, whatever that may well be for you. And until next time, farewell.